Here we are. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm happy to just sit and catch my breath and chat with you, and hopefully some people will join us as we
Yeah,
talk about. I don't know if people are thinking about the holidays yet. I think a lot of people could be.
yes,
So yeah.
yes.
So I thought
Well,
this was a great topic that you came up with for people.
yeah. Well, I'm just super excited because it's like cool enough now that I can wear a long sleeve t-shirt that's like Thanksgiving themed. So I'm kind of excited.
That's good.
It's
You have a
not,
long. I have a turtleneck and a cardigan over the top.
yes, it's not 200 degrees outside currently, so I'm super excited about that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and I was teaching on this topic today, and I thought that it would just be so good to share a little snippet of it. But before we jump into talking about the holidays, do we want to introduce ourselves in case people don't know who we are?
Yeah, for sure. If you're coming across this just shows up on your feed or something. My name is Linda Downey. Our names actually are on the screen, but my name is Linda Downey. And I am a functional health practitioner and a transformation health and spiritual coach. My background has been in health and nutrition and chronic illnesses and fitness for almost 40 years now, or actually it's more than 40 years. So glad I thought of that. Anyway, that's in some way, shape, or form, that's the field that I've been in. What I currently do right now is I work with women to help them overcome stress and anxiety and move through painful things from their past so that they can create life, their relationships, even their health, because my passion and my background is health, to move that to live a life that they love living. So that's who I am.
Awesome. Well, my name is Libby Wright, as it says on the screen, and I work with physicians who want to transition from traditional medicine to functional medicine or some hybrid of that. I also work with really sick patients who maybe have been told by a bevy of practitioners that there's no hope or there's no right diagnosis or they're not sure what's going on or my best guess is this or that. And I also have the privilege of working with Linda in her company to help funnel people toward her because she just does amazing, awesome things. And you know, one of the big things that we have both learned on our journeys. I have also been in the healthcare space now for let's see, at least 25 years. And I'm also a homeschool mom, graduating my last kid this year after 26 years of homeschooling. And yeah, so my husband's a functional medicine physician. And so that's just, Linda and I have a lot in common. Um, so I think the topic that we're bringing about today is just so interesting because a few years ago, a friend of mine who's a functional medicine physician and I were talking, and this isn't like, he didn't come up with this concept necessarily, but it was the first time it had really been brought to my attention. And that is, isn't this interesting? We're like not quite 2 weeks from Halloween. And then right after that is Thanksgiving, then Christmas, then New Year's, Hanukkah, all those holidays that we all celebrate that all have a lot of sugar. I'll have a lot of special festive foods around them that oftentimes contain things that, like, sugar, fructose, fats, oils, all the things that maybe are not the very best for, refined things, maybe not the best for us to be consuming. And then immediately around that time, what season, Linda, I'll give you a quiz. What season do all the healthcare people say kicks in right around that time?
Yes, right. So right after I'm sure you're talking about New Year's, right? When everybody then tries to like backtrack. Is that what you're talking
Mhm.
about?
Yeah, and it's also flu season, right? So everyone is doing New Year's resolutions, trying to lose the weight, and there's also everyone has flu, COVID,
Oh,
pneumonia, all these things, right? So I sprung that on her. We didn't prepare this.
we did not prep. No, but no. I see your point though. Like all of a sudden, everybody's sick at the same time. All of this is going on.
Yes. Is it possible that there is some kind of correlation between the things we're eating, the things we're putting in our heads, the things we're putting in our hearts, the stress of the holidays, and then maybe people getting run down and getting sick? Do you think it's possible that there's some kind of correlation there?
Well, only 1,000% because,
Okay.
you know, because people think, oh, well, it's the season, these viruses are out, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole picture. And it's really not. It really is what's your immune system up to? How are you managing your life? And then will that virus have its best opportunity to make its home in your system, or will your system be able to take care of it? So that's what
Yeah.
you're pointing to, right?
Yes, exactly. And when we know that so much, the vast majority of our immune system is seated in the gut. If we are filling our gut with these things, these processed things, especially sugars, it is, we're kind of like making the perfect storm
Yeah.
for getting sick, right? And I wasn't really sure I bought it for a while there because I got to be honest, I like sugar. I do. And as do most people. It lights up our brain the same way heroin does when you look at it on an MRI scan. And we had gone really sugar free, especially when I was fighting advanced stage neurologic Lyme disease. We just were really careful about our diet for the whole family. And I decided to slack off and let the kids do Halloween and Halloween candy and all that. Because true story, we had put apples out the year before, and we literally were walking past our in our neighborhood when the kids are trick or treating, and there's some kid that yells, "Hey, they just have apples here! Skip this house!" So we're like, okay, maybe we don't need to be that weird with our neighbors. So we decided, oh, we'll just lax off, we'll slack off a little bit, let the kids do their thing, whatever. We all have our reasons and our justifications for why we do what we do, right? And wouldn't you know it, we all got influenza within 10 days of eating that candy.
Mm,
And we hadn't had anything like that in a long time. And it was very telling to me to just go, okay, this is information. So I need to understand that if I'm doing this if I'm making these choices, because they're all choices, right?
yep.
Is there a way we can upgrade these choices? Is there a way we can do different things or modify things or at least put some governors on things so it's not just go hog wild and, wow, now I have 10 pounds to lose or the flu or pneumonia or COVID or fill in the blank, whatever it is. What if January 1st you felt better than you had ever felt?
Yes. Yes. Because I don't know. I think for a lot of people, January 1st shows up and it takes 2 months just to recover from the last quarter of the whole of the year before, right? Like that October,
Yeah.
November, December slide. And there's lots of ways that you can enjoy the time without having it be all of that. And also I want to talk about, we so far we've just mentioned diet, but I do want to talk about stress too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, because all of that, it's all linked together. And so if you spend the almost the last quarter of the year in a stressed out, what the heck, it's the holidays kind of state,
Mhm.
you know, it's going to take the first quarter of the next year even to just kind of break even, I think, let alone
Yes.
make headway if you have any goals around your life. So
Yeah, but Linda, I'm sure you and I are the only two people on the planet that experience holiday stress. Everyone else is just, it's fun. It's like sugar plum fairies dancing through our heads, and everyone's happy and holding hands, right?
I thought so. I mean, I've always thought it was to be me.
Yes, yes. Well, unfortunately, I know, especially, talking to moms, I know it can happen to lots of different people, but especially I think moms and women tend to feel a lot of pressure to uphold the traditions, to make sure everybody has what they need. My grandma would always, she loved Christmas more than anything else in the world, and we would just get amazing, have an amazing Christmas, and then she'd just give us a big hug and say, no matter how many gifts I could give you, it would never be enough to show you how much I love you. And so
Uh,
she always felt that like in her heart, like there was never enough to show it. And I think sometimes there's kind of that empty feeling in the holidays that a lot of people feel like, "Oh, it should feel better than this. It should feel different than this. I
mhm.
shouldn't be stressed out. I should be enjoying myself." Or, other families are doing, this, that, or the other. Why can't I get it together? There's all these different comparison games we play too, right? Which is like, I think that's one of the biggest. We've got the physiologic stress of all the, naughty foods, right? The treat days that are happening like every day between now and January 1st. And then you've got like the junk, the head trash. So we have
Yes.
junk food and then we have head and heart junk. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that and then let's talk about what we can do about it. We don't
Yeah.
want
Well,
to bring everyone down.
yeah, 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 because that's really, we don't want to just throw the problem out there and not
Yeah.
have something to chew on in order to change it if you're interested in doing that. But I love how you said the head and the heart junk, because that's really, I don't know if people realize this, but stress is always 100% of the time the way that you're relating to whatever's happening. So it's a stressful time to be planning and cooking and shopping and all of that. But it's really, how are you relating to it? And in your head and your heart, what are the rules that you have about how you're supposed to show up as the maybe the woman in the household, like how you're supposed to make it all go for everybody? Maybe you have some rules around that. Well, this is what it looks like to be a good mom or a good wife or a good daughter-in-law or a good sister-in-law. This is what it looks like and this is what I have to do. So what are your rules? And then I also like to think about what's the energy behind what I'm doing. Because if you can be cooking up a storm and cleaning your house and the energy behind it is, I just love this time of year and I love my family and I want to make the house feel festive. It's so good to like come into the house and see these colors and smell these smells. That's a very different energy than in your head being pissed off and resentful. All the work's on me. Like there's a whole different energy frequency about that. And so really look at what's in the background of the choices that you're making and what you're doing. What are the rules that you have for yourself? You set up those rules. Maybe family helped, like maybe it's been expected throughout generations or something, for sure. I'm not saying you came up with them all yourself, but they're really your rules. And how are you relating to all of that? And then we're going to get into like, what can we do? But I think that that's a good place to start, is what are my rules and what's the energy in the background that's driving my choices and behaviors?
Yeah, and I think another thing just to stack on that, Linda, is like get really curious this holiday season. So as you're sitting there doing whatever it is, if you feel tremendous joy, ask yourself why. Like what is special about this? And then how could I do more of it? And then if it's, man, I cannot believe here I am again baking the 18 pies I have to bake because everybody, okay, well, why? Why do you assume you need to bake 18 pies? What would happen if you didn't?
Right.
When I had Lyme disease and I finally went in remission, we decided to take all the money from the Discover bill from all the, because everything was out of pocket, of course, and apply that for a remission trip. And I lived night and day for the remission trip. I planned every moment of it for the years I was in treatment. And we decided to do it Christmas one year. So one year we literally did 0 gifts for the kids. Well, Santa did come and give them a few things, but like they were, well, funny story about that. I'll tell you another time. But um, but it was just such a different dynamic because it was all about experiences, not things.
Hmm.
And it really made me think like, huh, well, maybe all these expectations I had had on myself that I had to do this and I had to do that, I literally threw that all out the window and like we had a better time.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
thinking through, like, okay, well, why do I think that? And could it be different? What if it was? Could it be better?
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. What can you do differently? So if the holidays typically mean to you, it's going to be, a hellacious couple of months. I'm going to be stressed out. I'm just going to throw my hands up about the 10 pounds that are going to come on, whatever. And that feels frustrating. Just see if you can. So we titled this conversation actually "The Power of the Fast." So I was going to say, see what you can shift about how you see all of that. But actually, in the title, it's much more than shifting. If you really want to implement fasting in a lot of different areas, so fasting from gossip. You know, the holidays drives a lot of gossip, a lot of complaining, a lot of, because that's when people are getting back together with family that maybe they haven't seen for months, and that can drive a lot of things up. And when you participate in it, it might feel good in the moment because you're getting to be right as you gossip with your sister about your sister-in-law or something. But honestly, it contributes to the stress. It's really an energy that's much lower frequency. So gossip is something that you could fast on. You could also fast on some screen time. Fasting meaning, if you think of the food fasting, right? We set up, people who do intermittent fasting, they set up windows of time throughout the day that they're going to eat, and then chunks of time where they're not going to eat. You could apply that to screen time as well. What else comes to your mind, Lib?
Yes, so those are great things. I think also just recognizing that we, when I think the beautiful thing about fasting and the power of fasting is it can also help us start some new habits. So
Hmm.
a fast can happen for a brief period of time, or it can be literally like a life change. Because as we know, habits can't be broken, but they can be replaced.
Yes.
And so, let's say you do want to go enjoy, let's go back to food for just a second. Let's say it's Thanksgiving morning, like you are going to have that piece of pumpkin pie. Like I have pumpkin pie one day a year. That's it. But I'm going to have a slice, not a pie. I am going to limit myself. But before I even get there, my entire family loads up with a green smoothie.
Hmm.
And because then we know we've been nourished for the day. And then whatever we do after that, we do that, but it's in a limited time period. Okay. So it's not just a free for all. So I think sometimes it's almost about setting that intention, setting the framework around it. Whatever you choose to do. So whether it's screen time, whether it's okay, I am going to, when the sun rises, I'm going to go stand in the sunlight, let myself adjust. When the sun sets, I'm fasting from screen time for the holidays because that's a gift I can give myself. Because if you're not, the blue light that's coming into you through the screens, whatever screen, big or small it is, it's telling your brain, be awake. It's time to be alert. It's telling you it's daytime. That's what it's telling your brain.
Right.
And so if you could just say, I have started disciplining myself now that we're getting to the holidays. Okay, I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. Now, that means I'm reading a book or whatever. I'm not watching TV. I don't fall asleep to the TV. I fall asleep reading a book. And so, it's sometimes it's about removing things, but most often when we remove something, like nature abhors a vacuum, right? So we need to replace it with something better,
Right.
something better. So, if you're going to do the pumpkin pie, if you're going to, whatever it is that you're going to do, okay, well, what can you also do? So if I'm going to do pumpkin pie, I'm also going to do a green smoothie and I'm going to do it once. I'm not going to do it for 2 weeks.
Right.
Um, even, and I mean, I even like to say, why don't you fast from worry for a day?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And I do that sometimes, and I give myself I've actually written myself a permission slip before, as crazy as it is, and I've carried it around. In fact, I recommended that to one of my clients today. I'm like, "Okay, you get a pass on that. Permission to pass." And that's a great thing to do over the holidays too. Make yourself some permission slips to pass. As goofy and as corny as it sounds, you know what? I'm not going to go to that thing. I don't need to. I'm
Right.
tired. Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't need to gift wrap okay, a funny, silly holiday tradition in my family is we gift wrap every single thing that goes in a stocking, even. And
Yeah.
they're all goofy things that we put in there. And so, okay, well, maybe I don't have to wrap all that. Or maybe I do because it's fun and I enjoy it. Okay, well, can I do it and have fun? Or am I exhausted? Okay, then I give myself a pass. Even though it's a tradition, it's okay. My kids can go do it if they want to. They're adults. Um, And so, it's really about it's about recognizing that we can fast spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, physically. We can fast, maybe it's not fasting from all food, but maybe it's I'm fasting from sugar during this season. Maybe it's I'm, doing intermittent fasting. So I'm only, as Linda mentioned earlier, I'm only eating from like, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and that's it. Giving my body a chance to rest. Fasting from stress, asking yourself, must I do this really? And
Mm,
if not, then, would it be better for you, for your family, for everyone concerned if you could be more present, less stressed, and maybe you didn't write out the Christmas cards this year,
right.
but instead you were able to be present with your family and take some time with them. Another great thing, like I decided last year to do something different with gifts where we did like the 12 days of Christmas instead of doing just one giant Christmas thing. And it was a little experience each thing time. So, we all got matching pajamas and books one night. We did a scavenger hunt through our downtown, which is like we live in the City of Lights where they're crazy about Christmas here. So we did a, scavenger hunt one night and got pizza. So I mean, sometimes it's just about being a little creative and not assuming you have to do it the same way every time. Even though, we all love tradition, sometimes we can make new traditions. Sometimes we can make healthier, better traditions.
Yeah.
Um, just because it's a tradition doesn't always mean that's best for us or it's healthiest for us. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to fast from just being, I mean, I used to think it's like, okay, well, the floodgates are opening October 31st and they don't shut till January 1st. And there's absolutely nothing I can do about it because I didn't like to say no to anyone because I loved them. I wanted to do nice things for them. But when I realized that by setting some intentions, setting some boundaries around what I was going to do, and then choosing better options for things that maybe stressed me in some way, I could actually have a better time and not need that first quarter to recover. And like my family actually enjoyed it more. And so did I.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all such great food for thought. Really, really good ideas. And I want to just um, sprinkle a little bit more about the habits because, as Libby pointed out, we don't really break a habit, but we just start to practice new ones because we're going to be doing something. If we just try to break a habit and we don't put something in its place, it's not it doesn't work. So think about the habits. Like this is what I was thinking when you were talking. Like sometimes there's just a habit of, well, when I go Christmas shopping, I always go to Starbucks, and I don't like Starbucks coffee, but let's say go to Starbucks and get their giant pumpkin latte, whatever the seasonal thing is, or it'll be like probably a peppermint mint thing starting in November. And then as you're shopping in the mall, you have one of those, and it kind of like goes hand in hand. Like actually, my experience, this is not around the holidays, but when my daughter was in the hospital all the time, I created bad habits, which is why I know you don't want to do this. It was stuff that really contributed to my health issues, but I justified it in my head. She's in the hospital. I'm here in the hospital. But I would daily go get like something, some sort of sweet from the bakery. And you may think, well, it's just when she's in the hospital. She was in the hospital most of 15 years. So when you justify that kind of habit, that's a problem. So, what habits do you have like around this season that you could easily swap out? So instead of, oh, when I head out to go do my holiday shopping, I, get a big Starbucks thing. Maybe you just make your coffee in your house and take it in your own travel mug if that's what you need to do, but replace it with something better. So you're not getting all, if you ever look at some of those, whether it's Starbucks or any of the other chains, if you ever look at some of those recipes and the calories, they can be 1,200 calories for the drink with a lot of sugar and syrup. Maybe there's something else that you do, maybe replacing it with an activity like movement exercise. I know shopping can be a lot of walking, but a lot of people are also shopping online. So if you're trying to replace something in your life, maybe you can replace it with movement. You know,
Yeah, that's great. And the other thing you can do is replace it with something that's an upgrade. So maybe you still want to drink at the mall. Well, why don't you go get a juice or a smoothie or something that's healthier for you? Or a sparkling water, something that is, you're still going to have a beverage or a coffee that is not, maybe you sweeten it with a little honey and you still get a Starbucks, but you sweeten it with honey instead.
something. Yep.
There's many ways to do it. And, and we're not trying to be the Grinch and say, don't do these things. What we're saying is don't go on autopilot for the next 3 months. Like,
Yeah.
really sit back and consider because it will make your life so much better. That's really what I'm doing this year myself is just like, okay, like, do I like that? Do I need that? Do I want that? Does this feel good? And if it doesn't, well, then maybe we need to consider something different.
Right. Or, yeah, does this feel good in the moment, but then I'm upset later that I did it. Then I'm
Great.
upset about
Yes,
the,
that's great.
yeah. Because sometimes we're doing things just to get a dopamine hit in the
Yeah,
moment, but it doesn't really long term. And when I say long term, I mean even by later on that day, you don't feel good about it.
yeah.
So look at those kinds of things. So I would love to hear what if any of you are watching this or catch the replay later, share with us in the comments. What are some things that you do to navigate through whatever holidays you celebrate? Some people don't celebrate Halloween. Some people are doing Hanukkah, not Christmas, right? Maybe you're in a country or you're listening from somewhere that doesn't do Thanksgiving. Or Canada just had their Thanksgiving this past weekend, I think, right? So you guys
Yeah.
you're already like, okay, that's behind me. But what do you do, or what could you do if you haven't ever really thought of it and you've been on autopilot? What sparked in your thinking based on this conversation that you might want to do differently? Because when you share it in the comments, it might spark an idea for somebody else as people read the comments. So, I would love to hear, what did you think about, as Libby said, spiritually fasting, emotionally fasting, mentally fasting, physically fasting from stress, from screen time, from sugar, from gossiping, and creating good habits to upgrade or replace completely some habits that you might have, especially around this time when tradition just kicks in and you just do it the way you always did.
Yeah. And I want to say too, before we go, that this can be a really difficult time of year for people to navigate, especially if you've had a grief or a loss.
Mm,
It can feel really, really important, or you're going through something, or maybe you're starting a new season of life, or there are many reasons why we can feel triggered during the holidays, and we haven't really talked a lot about that. Maybe that'd be a good topic to talk about next week, Linda.
sure.
But if you are struggling with that, or if this has really resonated with you, and okay, I know myself and I know that I cannot navigate this holiday season and have it be anything different than it's ever been without some help. I do just want to say that we're here to help you. If you would like to understand how you can help work on all of these different aspects of your life, because we're just giving you a little tiny glimpse of the types of things that we do and the types of ways we help our clients, and we would love to help you navigate this holiday season. We would love to see you a conqueror and victorious January 1st, not like, oh my gosh, if I see another sugar cube, I'm just gonna die. I can't do this anymore. like I have felt in the past in January, just full disclosure. Or just like I need a month to sleep. We don't
Yeah.
want you to feel that way. We want you to be energized and ready to roll January 1st, because you are here on this earth for a purpose. You have important work to do, and we can't let things like our habits or our traditions stop us from being the people we are and showing up the way we need to show up through the holidays and beyond. So if you're interested in having a deeper conversation about this, I would just invite you to book a call with us. We do a free breakthrough session with either Linda or myself, where we sit and chat with you about what's working in your life, what's not working. If everything could be perfect just the way you wanted, what would that look like? And then what tools do you need in your toolbox to get there? Because you know what? There is nothing worse than going through the holidays and feeling like, metaphorically, all you have is a hammer in your toolbox and that's it. If you've only got one or two tools to be able to cope with all the things that you will be faced with the holidays, good, bad, and otherwise, then show's over till January 1st, just being totally honest. If you have because I've been there, right? I mean, we've all been there. If you have tools and you have new ways of seeing things and you have a different perspective and you're really armed with different strategies to deal with the stressors that will come and learning how to replace habits with better habits. We would love to help you. We'd love to chat with you, and it's completely free.
Yeah, it's completely free. And I just, since you brought it up, Libby, I went and grabbed the link and I just put it in the
Awesome.
comments. So it should be posting anywhere that this is playing, which is in multiple sites. So yeah,
Okay.
we would love to talk to you, and we would love to hear what your comments are about what your thoughts are on managing yourself in the most supportive and powerful way. Okay?
Yes. All right. Well, we'll see you all next time. Thank you for joining us.
Yep, yep. Thanks, Libby, so much. Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Yeah.
All right. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye bye.